Yo, it's your boy Ancient Albatross here behind the scenes as usual these days. But we have the usual suspects of the Cypher Unlimited boys. We have Spigs18 or Anthony. We have Alpha Dean or simply Dean. And just as a quick reminder, if you haven't already, be sure to follow us here on Twitch, subscribe to us over on YouTube, and also to check us out on the Anywhere door on Moonbeam, which is Monte Cook Games' new streaming platform that they're working with and trying to get more people on there. We are currently live on Moonbeam as well. And two other quick reminders. Be sure to check out the Cypher Unlimited Discord. We are currently accepting GM signups for CypherCon. We have about 3-4 weeks left to signups, I believe, something like that. And there's still plenty of room, plenty of spaces for a GM, so definitely come along, check that out. And I'm actually blanking on what the second reminder should be, so I'm just gonna pass things over to Dean. Dean, what are we doing here tonight?
Oh man. The second reminder. You told him about Moonbeam, you told him about CypherCon. Right. Right, so we're good. Then that should be it. Oh, we're missing something, Anthony? Yeah. What are we missing?
No, we're good.
Oh, okay.
It was only
tonight is going to be a great show. We basically are going to talk about the deal with Monte Cook's latest announcement. I'm not going to go any further. I'm just going to smack the ball over to Anthony and let him take us away so we can start getting into this thing, you know.
Oh, we're not good. I remember what Al said right before we went live. He was supposed to thank Aloof Poof for the generous donation of 10 subs. That was the third reminder, Al. Aloof, thank you so much, brother. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're a maniac, man. Thank you.
Yeah, we can't thank you enough. That's what the third reminder was. But yeah, we're gonna talk about this huge announcement that MCG just released, a couple of days ago, that has not only the Cypher Unlimited community, but all the Monte Cook Games fan spaces, talking about this because it's a really big news. So by now, if everyone isn't aware about the announcement MCG made about possible changes, guys, to the Cypher system. But before we even get into that, we want to be full transparent with this. Due to our management of CypherCon, MCG reached out to us about 2 months ago with the news of some of these plans that that's now coming to fruition and everyone's hearing about. And we kind of knew about this 2 months, but of course, we couldn't talk about it. And about 2 weeks ago, we met with them again with a few other content creators. And the meeting was to inform, and the content creators included Ked Hub, Shadowmane, Jason. There was a few others involved as well. And it was mainly to share the same information that we kind of knew about like 2 months prior, but with some minor adjustments. Technically, we weren't allowed to speak on anything. So it was freaking hard not to be able to say anything when we kind of knew about this for 2 months. But since they started rolling out some information, we could now discuss our opinions on the matter and share what little we could say about it. But of course, the best way to stay informed will be to sign up for the notifications on the Backerkit and receive the email updates like the one they released today. The official email updates from MCG, and get all the real information coming directly from them. Of course, we're going to provide the links here on Twitch, and it'll also be up on our YouTube version of this video. I think the reason why I wanted to do this and why I pitched this idea to Dean and Al was, I think primarily, we want to give the community an opportunity to voice their opinions, share their speculations, and express their concerns. And all three of those emotions are valid. So let's discuss this. And, guys, hopefully you guys are excited as we are for some possible changes that may be happening down the pike. But even if you're not, let's have a chat about it and discuss it. So yeah. Before we lead into this conversation, I think it's only fair that we read the actual email, the first media blast about possible changes to the Cypher system that MCG released today. I cut and pasted it on our notes so Dean could read the entire thing. and we'll analyze it and dissect it together and see if we could get some cool secret details in between the lines.
All right. So the email opens with big changes are coming to the Cypher system. This is the first of a series of regular emails giving you a sneak peek at what to expect. We're sending these out exclusively to gamers who sign up to be notified of the upcoming crowdfunding campaign. Of course, since you're reading this, you already know that, but maybe you have friends who might also like getting these updates. Tell them to sign up too. And there's a link for them to sign up. We're going to dive into greater detail on specific topics in future emails, but for this one, let's start with an overview. Yes, and is a fundamental concept of a great GMing, borrowed from the world of improv. It means taking a good idea and building on it to make it even better. That's what to expect out of the forthcoming changes to the Cypher system. Yes, we're going to make it easier to play Cypher System games right out the box. You'll be able to jump into play and even more quickly than before, both in terms of making characters and building campaigns. We'll talk more about specific mechanical changes in the future, but the upshot is that if you want to launch a dungeon fantasy campaign, run a space opera one-shot, or jump into an ongoing superhero adventure, you'll find getting started even easier and quicker. And you'll still have all the Cypher system flexibility and power for building the custom settings, campaigns, and characters you envision. We're keeping all the tools and more for making exactly the campaign and characters you want, just like Cypher System currently offers. And your existing Cypher System books will continue to be relevant. Almost all of their content will remain completely compatible. That's because the biggest mechanical changes will affect characters, not the way you use them. We'll have more specifics on that in next week's email. What does this mean for your current campaign? These changes won't see print for more than a year. If you're running a campaign now or thinking of starting one soon, there's no reason to change your plans. These changes are a long way off, and when they happen, they'll be highly compatible with your game. So go ahead and run or launch the campaigns you want to play now. Take a deeper look behind the curtain next week. Monte kicks off a series of design diary articles on MCG website. These will delve not just into the nature of the forthcoming changes, the sort of info we're including in these emails, but also dig into the why we're changing what we're changing, and how decisions and design directions are explored and chosen. Keep an eye on the MCG website for the first article early next week. So here's some bullet points that they threw in for us. And they start with starting a new campaign or creating a character for a common genre is going to get a lot faster and easier, but you'll still have all the tools you currently enjoy and more for building custom campaigns. Most of the changes affect characters, not how the game is played, which means existing supplements remain compatible. These changes are more than a year off, so keep running or planning the campaign you currently love. Future emails in this series will go into greater detail on specific topics. And Monty's design diaries kick off next week with even more detail, plus insights into the design whys and hows. Look for them on the MCG website. Stay tuned for loads more in the weeks to come.
Guys in chat, if you have any questions for us or just some statements that you want us to read out loud, just preface, like maybe post Al before you put it, so Al could cut and paste it and put it into the chat, and we'll definitely read as many as we can, because like what I want is for this to be an open discussion, because I don't think any of us here have any of the real answers, and I'll get into what we were told, and what we could talk about, because we weren't given any like mechanical, like this is what we're doing. So all of this is speculation coming from us, coming from you, coming from everybody. We're not going to get that information until MCG releases that. So we're here to speculate. We're here to talk. We're here to comfort each other if we're worried. We're here to share excitement if we're excited about something. Let's just So just post whatever you want to say. and put Al in the front so he'll know, and we'll cut and paste it, and we can all talk about it. But Dean, what's your initial reaction from this?
Well, again, from what we had, the conversation we had, the email we had, talking to Sean, everything. Honestly, it has alleviated a lot of stress for me. Um, there are a lot of us out there, a lot of content creators who are working on projects, and they, might be getting a little antsy about it because now all these great changes are coming, these massive changes. But what I see being offered here is only going to benefit us who are already creating, because a lot of us who are creating stuff are doing our own little twists on mechanics and so on and so forth and things like that. And if this is going to simplify the baseline of Cypher, I see it as a win. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I took a couple of things from this, right? And I think that this discussion's happened. A couple people in chat have mentioned this earlier, right? I'm not expecting huge mechanical differences that's going to affect multiple books down the line. I'm more expecting like tweaks, because it seems like it's more like the basic core fundamental resolution mechanics are going to be essentially the same.
Yeah.
And it's very comforting when they say that the majority of your book are going to be, pretty much
Untouched. Yeah. Useful.
I mean, I wouldn't go as far as say it's totally untouched, but I do think it's sounding more like it's going to be like 90% or 95%, still 100% useful, which is a good ratio, a good ballpark to be in.
Well, I mean, we can say this much. What it's coming across to me is everything is going to be kind of character facing and character creation and setting up your games. The if you want to set up a quick game, it seems like there's going to be a lot more guidance. The guidance that a lot of people ask for, like I think with GM intrusions and player intrusions and character creation, being able to streamline things down in order to allow for quicker setup. Because this way, probably my thought process is you as a GM won't have to sit there and curate a list of foci anymore. You probably won't have, you know what I'm saying? These things will probably already be done for you. So if you want to run a baseline fantasy game, well, guess what? We've already got a list of curated foci for you. And if you want to add something in or tweak it, well, here, you can do that. But this is the kind of feeling I'm getting, and a lot of what's been revealed so far gives me that type of comfort. That's what I'm seeing. So I'm with you that 90 to 95% of what we have is probably, going to remain untouched. Just like when we move from, think about when we move from the original Cypher System rulebook to the revised edition. It wasn't massively changed. I mean, it's just tweaks. It was a lot of tweaks.
I will say this. I think it's going to be bigger than the revised edition's transition. Than I think this is going to be bigger than the transition we went from the regular Cypher System book to the revised edition book.
I'm not disagreeing with you. But I'm saying I think the
oh man,
I think the changes I think the changes are probably going to be bigger, but I don't think it's going to be as gut wrenching per se. You know what I'm saying? I think it's just going to be a change in how we approach what we're doing.
Yeah, I like what I found curious is they started off the email, because we're going to analyze this email, right?
Yeah.
They started off the email with the old improv yes and that was sort of like the theme of the email, right? So, and once again, this is just me talking out my ass, right? I'm thinking maybe they're gonna add some more of that improv style in either character creation or GM adventure design. So, like, just by the wording of the email itself, it makes me think, hey, we might either see some tables in character creation or some methods on fleshing out your character during character creation to build out a more like, like full backstory or something like that. I don't know if I'm making much sense, but that's just like the feeling. It's like giving you improv tools on helping you develop your character or helping you develop designing your adventure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's the feeling I'm getting. I mean, I know a lot of people have, massive concerns. People always, whenever a company, mentions, or update or whatever, people start pulling their hair out and bouncing off the walls with speculation. And I think the biggest thing I've learned with Cypher, you know, it is funny, I'm about to use my term, but the paradigm shift, the biggest thing I've learned with Cypher and the paradigm shift is just that. Sit back, take a deep breath, and kind of just let things, unfold in front of you, because they haven't let us down yet, at least in my opinion.
Hello, Tristan, first time chatter. First off, welcome Tristan D&D. He actually wrote a good point that maybe was something I was actually kind of thinking. They will, perhaps they're going to include ways for characters to generate parts of the setting that are baked into the story. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. And
Right.
I just played Daggerheart with KedHub the other day, and I'm gonna record a video on comparing Cypher System with Daggerheart. I will record it next week, I promise. But that system has, in character creation, has actual mechanics that does exactly that. And it might be something that Cypher System, since it's a plug and play system to begin with, could easily adapt. So yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think you and I are kind of in the same boat. I mean, even when we talk to Al, I think we're all kind of seeing it through the same lens that, you know, I think this book is probably going to be way more on the side of helping you build the lore, helping you understand, helping you improv your story, helping you, give your character more gravitas in the world. So that's what I'm looking at.
Yes, Jason,
And
I know. Hold on a second. Yes, Jason, I know Daggerhorn did not invent that. I'm just saying because that's the last game I played just recently. That's why I used it as a point of reference. But I definitely know Daggerhorn didn't invent anything. They basically took a bunch of great ideas from a bunch of other game systems, but that's neither here or there. But I use Daggerhorn as an example because I literally just played the last week with Canada.
I just want to address this real quick. Manilu, he says, I just think that the launch is a little irresponsible. Like the community is concerned, and now we all have to just wait. Why? Why not drop the bomb and let us be excited rather than having people worried? Even if they drop, go ahead.
Okay, I mean, I'm gonna specifically answer that because one, I don't think it's written yet. I think that I mean that's probably the most logical one. It doesn't make sense for a company to announce, "Hey, we're doing these chances," because they got to play test everything. So they probably have like Monty probably has some ideas, but they're still working on other projects currently, right? So I don't think the full on changes that they're doing it is fully fleshed out. So of course they're not gonna say they're gonna do something and then have it change in playtest or have it change in. So good night, Jason. Have it
Like,
change in playtest or have Sean, Monty, Bruce, Sean to scrap the idea and then go back, go change it to something else. So they're gonna have to piecemeal us the information as they agree on. Okay, this is gonna be a change that we're implementing, and
here's the
also
thing.
from
You're
the
the,
company, you want to build excitement, right?
well,
Like,
then I was going to address that. Let me, because that's what I was going to say. To first of all, MCG's business model is built on them doing Backerkit and Kickstarter, crowdfunding. So the nature of how they do things is they are always a year ahead of themselves when they announce something. So whatever they're announcing today, tomorrow, whatever, we're not going to see that for an entire year or so. So I think what they're doing is, yes, they do have a lot of things that they've worked out. They have a lot of things that, you know, that are on the table, but these are things, like Anthony was saying, still need to be play tested, still needed to be, tweaked here, tweaked there, make sure the screws are tight and that they're going to work. I think us as a community, we have been so conditioned by other situations and other companies that we automatically start freaking out, because things are always so drastic, or they're not transparent about what they're doing, or they tell us one thing and something else happened. I mean, I can go back and talk about D&D Next, and then what 5e was versus D&D Next. I can pull up the old playtest material and show you drastic change, and there was no forewarning. We didn't get anything. Whereas what MCG is doing is, hey, listen, guys, we're going to, as we test these things out, we're going to be releasing stuff to you over the course of emails and so on and so forth. We're going to let you know what's happening, but we're already letting you know that the biggest changes are stuff that is going to be player facing. It's not going to affect the money you spent. It's not going to affect, slightly. Well, I can't say 100%. I feel more like it's slightly going to affect what you've already done. But I don't think it's anything any more grandiose than how we had to transition from the ideologies of the first CSR to the revised edition. That's just me.
oh, I kind of lost my train of thought when you was talking, but because I was reading the chat.
Yeah, I'm
I
reading
think
it.
that
I'm looking at Zill's Daddy. I'm in the same boat you are. I'm a third-party creator just like you, and I was halfway done.
Dean, read our notes.
Yeah.
You're crossing the line a little.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna start grabbing the bottom of some of the questions that were being asked, and then we could go from there. So the first question being asked, right, is what do you think is the biggest change will be?
Character facing stuff, like they said. I think character creation and adventure setup is going to be massive, and I think there's going to be a lot more guidance for the GM in that department, like for improvisation and so on and so forth.
I'm sorry, and Mike Stormbringer asked that question. Me personally, I think the biggest changes are going to be, like you kind of touched on it a little earlier, Dean, but I think the biggest changes are going to be genre-specific character creation and genre-specific adventure creation. And what I mean by that, I think we're going to get way more guidance for I want to run a sci-fi game than the traditional CSR gives us now. Same, and I think it's going to be twofold. I think we're going to get way more guidance as a player in designing your character, and I think we're going to get way more guidance as a GM in designing your adventure. I think that's going to be the biggest difference.
So I think we can just probably lump all that together. I think those things are probably all going to have their own meatiness in this thing, because I do really believe, like you said, the genre specific stuff, because a lot of people ask questions about that.
Yeah, because the email gives the impression that they want to clean up character creation, and that leads into our next question. You want to read the next question, Dean?
Yeah, I can't pronounce your name, Lair Tebst. He said, did anyone actually feel character creation in Cypher is long? And I'll answer that. No, I didn't feel it was long, but it was a bit involved, especially when you as a GM would have to necessarily curate, because they gave that advice in the book, curate a list of foci to use and so on and so forth. But a lot of people could have felt overwhelmed. I mean, when you were looking at 50, 60 different foci to choose from, and then trying to figure out what you wanted in this genre and that genre, and so on and so forth. What's your thoughts, Ant?
I'm gonna say this. I think that when you're just running off of a setting book like Magnus Archives, Tidal Blades, Gods of the Fall, Predation, the answer is definitely no. But when I think you're designing your own adventure and using the Cypher Core book in conjunction with another book to create something wacky, then yes, it can be a little long because you do have to take the time to eliminate foci, eliminate descriptors that you don't want, figure out what you're going to do with whether you're using race as a descriptor or you're allowing people to have two descriptors, have a race and a descriptor. So I do think that it tends to be longer, but if you're just using Numenera, then I think it's a lot quicker.
Right. And I think that is the nail on the head. Like we were saying before, I think that they're going to have the genre sections probably are going to see a huge uptick in what's in each genre. So, like we were saying earlier, there'll probably be charts with all the foci that are for a specific genre, and all the descriptors, the best descriptors for a specific genre, and so on and so forth. So, yeah. You want me to go with the next question, Ed?
No, can you read it? Because I'm sending you a message right now.
Okay. The next question is, I want to know how character creation could be sped up. It's already one of the fastest rule sets for that out there.
So what's your take on that?
Well, I mean, like we were saying, like I was just saying, though, I mean, if you think about it, it is a fast rule set when you have, like you were saying, Ant, for specific books. So if you're playing, let's just say Gods of the Fall, you have a champion, and then they have, the foci that are right there in the book, and they're all connected to it. But if you are creating your own game, and let's say you're doing a modern intrigue style game, you want to do a James Bond style game, then I'd have to go through, and try to figure out which ones, I want to eliminate all the stuff that's magical related, but keep stuff that could be, reskinned text wise. And I think that's what we're going to get. So, and I think that's going to make things a lot quicker, where, especially if they show you reskins on existing foci and things like that in order to make them fit into a specific genre. So that, I think that would be hella quick, especially in what's the name, descriptors too.
I'm going to answer this without answering it, and I apologize because it's a shitty answer, but some of the stuff that we know that we can't talk about, I can honestly say it's definitely going to make it easier for GMs. Like, it's definitely going to make it a lot easier for you as a GM, but that's not something that we can relate. But it will be if you follow the Backerkit. That information will start slowly trickling out. But I think that the mindset is going in. It's not necessarily, from what I gathered, it's not necessarily, hey, we want to reinvent the wheel, but we want to make it easier for players to get involved, and we want to make it easier for GMs to run games. So, I know this is a shitty response, and I apologize in advance, but trust me when I tell you that it will make it easier for GMs.
Well, you kind of answered Bright Crazy Star's question, because he was like, it seems like.
That was the question I was answering.
I thought you were answering the one previously.
Oh, I want to know how character creation could be sped up. It's already one of the fastest rule sets out there. Yeah, like I said, I think it's going to be sped up in the sense of not the steps that you take when creating a character. I think it's going to be sped up in the sense of how it relates to the actual game you're playing and giving you options that just fit your game as opposed to having to go through the entire book. But I could be wrong because once again, this is all speculative. We do not know anything of this, but I think that it's going to be more. It's going to be more like, hey, we're running sci-fi, and here's all the cool sci-fi stuff in one place, similar to what we asked for in our top 10 ways to improve the Cypher system.
Right.
I think I think it's going to be something like that.
Scuba Ninja 01 says, any thoughts on whether this will launch more digital tools like Character Creator?
God, I hope so.
Yeah. We probably. I mean, my thoughts are yes, because they do seem to be trying to step into, more digital creation content stuff even now. So yeah.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I would say yes too. Once again, we have not been told anything about this. We don't know anything about this. But if you take the last two Backerkits as an example, they've been slowly adding more digital content in their Backerkits. So I would guess yes. But don't bet your house on on our guess. But if I had to guess, I would probably say yes.
Yeah, that's my thought process.
And for the record, I hope they do.
Yeah. Zilzaddy says, is character creation speeding up because creation mechanics are being altered? For instance, changing the attributes or changing or replacing pools, edge, and effort. I can honestly say I don't know, but I don't think so, for the simple fact, if they were changing those things, then that would probably affect a lot of the other stuff that we already have.
Anything that's mechanic related, I think Monty's going to be answering all those questions on his campaign diaries on the MCG website. And my gut feeling is that he's probably going to come right out the gate and talk about creation mechanics in either the first or the second one. And I was specifically told today that Monty will be posting his first article early next week, so probably Monday, Tuesday. So, and I think that this question is probably going to be answered because I think this is one of the questions that he's going to have to answer early in order to explain all the other changes. So I think that you'll get an answer shortly on this if you head to the MCG website.
Right, Crazy Star said, one trope I see in game players want but feel unfulfilled about is the skill monkey, the character idea that was popularized by Palladium GURPS and second edition D&D. Will there be a way really to address how few skills a PC feels like they have versus what they have mechanically?
I think Charlie, you brought this up in our top 10 questions, and that's a legitimate complaint. I think it is currently it's a little difficult to create a total skill monkey. But yeah, we don't have the answer to this. I agree with you though. If they can make a way to create a skill monkey, not create a more efficient skill monkey in Cypher System is probably a better phrase to put it. It'll probably be a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. I really can't say. I'm at a loss on that one as well. But I am MC23's question says, will this be an additional book or a bigger book?
The best way to answer this question is to follow the Backerkit to get more information on this. Because this is actually a great question that I personally asked myself, and I technically can't reveal what the response was.
And Stillheart Dragon says, I would totally like more examples in action of things in the book. So would I. That's the best answer I can give you. So would I.
Yeah. I wonder how that's gonna. I wonder what if you're making all these drastic character creation, right? And chat, let us know if this makes sense to you, right? If you're making all these character creation changes, which is the implication in the email, right? Wouldn't you think they're gonna have to go back and redo all those? Or I'm assuming they're rewriting everything, but they're gonna have to go back and redo all the sections explaining actions in combat, explaining because that has been I don't want to say a sour note, but it has been a common complaint that comes up often on the server about the way certain verbiage is explained and certain actions are explained. I think this would be the perfect time to clean all that up.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that there's going to be a lot of advice on how to manage your game. I think that's what we're going to see. I think a lot of that because as you see, with our top 10, a lot of things, a lot of stuff that came up too was boiled down to how it was explained to us or what the rule said, whereas some people need things a lot more hard coded and some of us can handle it being as vague as it is as written. So I think it might be like they're going to find a good balance between those two things.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
It's finding that balance of having it explained in a concise manner where someone that's coming from I don't want only an abstract version of a rule to someone that's like, hey, I'm a rulings over rules guy. You got to find that happy balance in between. And I think the more successful systems do that. And I think that even though we're more rulings over rules guys, I do think there's a place for people wanting to have some legitimate rules in there for them.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that we're going to see that. I'm thinking we're going to see that they're going to give you maybe a hard coded aspect of this is how you want to do it, but then again leave it. But hey, GMs, if you don't or you want, what I'm saying, to give you that kind of that kind of feeling, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think we're gonna find that it's gonna be a balancing act, to say the least.
You want to read, Dean? You just read the questions because you're a good host.
Okay,
Question reader. I'm illiterate.
it's stupid.
And also
again,
lazy.
and also, I'm going to butcher your name again. I don't know what I'm saying. Layer Stebs, or something like that. We make a lot of presumptions as to what is in there. What do we want in there? If we have a year to tug on MCG's ear, perhaps now is the time.
First of all, now is exactly the time. I think this is a great statement. One thing I know for sure, and I can honestly say without breaking any SRDs or anything, MCG, I know for a fact that MCG listens to the community, reads our chats on the CU, and let's
watch
be
our
honest.
videos. They watch our videos.
Not only our video, watches reads Shadow Main's articles, watches Ken Hub's article, watches everyone in what everyone in the community is putting out there, right? And I'm 100% certain they're not finished designing this. So if enough people say, hey, this is cool, they will take it into account. I would guarantee this 100%. So you are absolutely right. If the community feels like there's something that needs to be done, now's the time to speak up now or shut up forever.
Yeah, and I mean, and like I said, just look at their newsletters, look at their Facebook pages and their other places. Any place you can respond to them or chat with them or reach out to them, even through the CU. We when they're here. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we can have something. Maybe a channel where people can just put stuff in, and MCG can just go look there for stuff like that. That might be something we could do. And I missed a question. I got to go back one. But that's what we can say about that for now. Bright Crazy Star, he said, if we are getting more guidance, what about the freedom that the GMs have to do what they want to make their games? Creating stronger player standards means more players will come with specific expectations. I just want parameters. A GM can meaningfully set better and more efficiently than the campaign design worksheet. Well, that's what I was just saying, Charlie. That's exactly was my point, that I think that there's going to be, for those out there who need things hard coded, I think there's going to be a hard code option, but still, giving the GM the flexibility to do what's necessary. So if you're at a table with people who trust you as their GM and you're doing your thing, they're not going to have a problem with it. I think this is going to be more for people, like, especially if you're running one shots, more for conventions and so on and so forth. So people can walk in with a standardized idea of how things are going to work versus, willy nilly, I got to pull it by my bootstraps. That's just my thought.
I'm just going to preface with this that anything that's a mechanical related question, just so everyone's aware, we have not been told any mechanical changes whatsoever. So everything that me and Dean are saying, this is just us
speculating.
us speculate. Please do not take anything that you hear Dean saying as canon, like this is happening, because it's definitely not. We have not been told anything mechanical. And I know I won't sound like a broken record, but if you have any questions about specific mechanics, we're gonna always go back to the best way to find out is to check the Monte videos, because he will be breaking down all the changes in mechanics in the MCG website in his articles. Or make sure you absolutely go back to Backerkit so you get all the emails, because they will be spreading those information. But I'm not saying we won't answer the mechanical questions, but I'm just saying that it's none of this is we got from MCG.
None of this is canon. None of this is all speculation.
This is absolutely all speculation.
Oh, Maya's here. Hey, Maya, haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back.
All right, guys, you guys.
Next question is Manny Analu. Do you think this will change the current third-party IP books that are in the works at all, specifically Deeper Still and Tangled in the Web? No, I do not think so.
I can answer this specifically. This has been told by Charles. Any existing licensed IP that MCG holds will not change at all. So that means that Tidal Blades, Old Gods, what you call it, Magnus Archives, those books will be completely intact. Nothing will change in those books. And I was specifically told I could mention that. That's one of the stuff that we can say. So, yeah. Any of the existing IP books, everything, it's fully intact. Those books are intact. No changes will be made to them. And you can rock out, with all those books as is, and do not have to worry about, having to get an up-to-date copy of it or some changes. Or changes coming to, or rather coming to those books. Like Charlie said, standalone.
That was the last question we had on the list here. Let's see. I'm just looking at the chat real quick. Make sure we didn't miss anybody.
Maya said, if the core role resolution was updated to streamline, I will 100% come back. What do you mean by the core role resolution? The rolling to a target number, or? And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just asking for a little clarification. What you said, Dean?
No, I'm just looking at the different things that are going in the questions. Just like I said, going through some of the questions. And like I said, I mean, people are making some good points. Mike says anything that makes it easier to get people playing Cypher, I'm all in. Examples are a good, happy medium. I really like players being more creative and more engaging versus just rules. You know, um, Maya said, I know they hear the community, but do they listen and take things into consideration? I
I
think
think
they
they
do.
do. Yeah,
Yeah, I do.
matter of fact, I know they do.
Right.
I'll give you the perfect example that I know happened for a fact. It Claimed the Sky with Sean K. Reynolds. He took heed on the CU Discord. He took heed on a couple of videos on what people wanted from a superhero cipher book, and he absolutely included some of the suggestions that were told in that book. Like that
Yep.
specific book, I know for a fact he took player feedback. I mean, he took fan feedback.
Well, I actually have, written proof. Monty literally sent me this book and wrote, "You are one of the main reasons we made this book. Thanks for everything you do for MCG. We really appreciate you." And it's signed by Monty. That's that was a pretty dope gift to receive. They do listen. They saw a lot of stuff that we talked about. And like I said, Sean K. Reynolds says all the time, he sits and watches our videos and takes notes a lot of times because of things that are brought up from us or the community. So yeah, they do listen to you.
Maya replied, yes, the way role is resolved takes way too long. Simply put, too much stuff you add in. You know what's funny? The majority of people coming from other systems would say that there's not enough. So I'm not entirely, unless you're playing Fate or something that's super. I think that the front facing role mechanics are on the lighter side compared to other systems. So I'm
You,
I'm not saying you're wrong for your game, but personally, I don't think I agree with that statement.
you know what it is? I think just a lot of people are so used to all of their bonuses being right in front of them and not having to think about what bonuses they're going to use or how they're going to use them. You know, you think about it with D&D, I just roll a 20 sider and I add plus whatever. You know what I mean? Whereas, and I get it, I'm only playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah,
On
no, I'm not saying um anyone's wrong really, because it's all
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying you were saying that. I'm just saying I'm just trying.
it's all personal preference.
Right,
Absolutely, it's
and
not.
I'm just pointing out. I'm just pointing out with a lot of people. Even people that I know who I've sat down and they've come from other systems. That was a big thing for them to overcome. Now, once they got it, they loved it. But initially, it can be a little jarring.
I personally think that, just to go back to what we were talking about, like where resolution mechanic, I don't think they're changing any of the way that like the mechanics are gonna work in game. I'll be surprised if they did really. Like I'll be surprised if they change target numbers, if they change um
The
you know
difficulty, how you deal difficulty, difficulty set, multiply by 3, so on and so forth. I
yeah.
Like I said, I don't see that as being an issue. Never have. Um, that's one of the few mechanics. That's a mechanic that I actually really like, but that's just me. So again, we don't know yet. Um, I'm just, this, like we said, this is like all speculation on our
No,
side.
I got a good question to ask everybody in chat. What would be the one change that if they did make, you'd be like, oof, this is terrible? I'll go first so you get an example. I think the one change they did make that I would go, oof, this is terrible, would be if they start forcing the GM to roll dice.
That would be kind of bad. I don't. Nah, I don't
What
think that. Probably for me, I think I don't know. Getting rid of the core concept of how foci work, I think, because I think the foci, I think the fact that you write your sentence and it speaks to the character, that would really kind of bug me if you didn't have you didn't have your sentence anymore. I enjoyed the characters because sitting down at the table, it automatically kind of gives you a sense of who you're playing with, even if you've never played together before.
Hey, Charlie and Zeal, both of your guys don't want them to change the names of Effort and Edge? Or you say because
Or you
that was
saying do change them?
or you say do change them, yeah. Somebody will make the book too heavy to carry. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, they said make everything start with an E.
Oh, that's funny. Somebody said that highly simulationist encumbrance mechanics. Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, I don't want any. I don't. I want us to continue on our story-driven narrative, cinematic style ideology. If they went simulationist, I don't know if I could stomach that.
Yeah, Celia Smoke, that is the general consensus. Charlie's just crazy. And he almost dragged Zeal into his madness before Zeal realized that he was talking to Charlie.
Nice.
Oh, someone said I wouldn't like it if you could buy ciphers with XP. Yeah, that would kind of suck too.
Yeah.
Cam said you could almost already buy ciphers with XP.
Well, almost and being able to do it are two different things, though, right?
Yeah.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
So, what do you think the general consensus is from the community about this announcement? Like, I know we tease on the server that everybody's panicking or but to be honest, I don't really get that feeling. I know it's fun to joke around about it, but I really don't get that feeling. We don't have enough information to be panicked about it at all.
I don't think it's
You
a
know what I
panic.
mean?
I don't think it's a panic, but I just think the rampant speculation is just over the top right now. And I think we should all just kind of take a deep breath and see what we get over the course of the next few months as Monty does his design diary and as those emails start coming out. I mean, personally,
I will say this, Dean. In all fairness, rampant speculation is freaking fun, and we've been doing it for like the last hour.
oh no,
So,
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it the way we're doing it. If you look at the way we're doing it, we're literally just having a conversation about what we might see, what we want to see, what we feel could be possible. I'm talking about the people who are, like there's a few people that I've seen on the server, who are just completely negative. Oh my God, it's just that, and I think that's unnecessary. That's what I'm saying when I say the rampant, the negativity.
Celia Smoke just described Dean to a T. He said, I think the people that who are absolutely everything will be absolutely fine or just as bad as everything is ending crowd. I agree with you too. I think it's natural to have some fear, right? I think it's natural, and it's natural to be positive, right? But you just gotta be balanced because let's be honest. There's never been an RPG book ever, right? That entirely. I mean, I can't speak for you, D, but there's never been a game book in my life, and I've been gaming for 30 years, that I read this book and said, this is damn perfect. So, and it's not going to change with the new MCG book, right?
But my point is, and I hear what you're saying.
The positives are going to outweigh the negatives by far, for sure. But
Well, and that's what I'm trying to say. When they came out with the revised edition of the CSR, there were a few things that were jarring. I can't even remember now because I've embraced them now. But I remember when I first got my hands on the book, it was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? How is this gonna work? But after it being there for a while and giving it some time, it was like, okay, I get it. This works, so on and so forth. And again, I'm not saying that everything is going to be fine, but you know what? I'll be honest with you. At this point in my life, I've been gaming, 49 years. It's going to be 49 years. Jesus Christmas. But I've been gaming so long that I don't have time, and I'm old enough in my life that I'm not going to waste my energy bubbling up the negativity. Oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. Because guess what? I don't know what's going to happen. And that's just the reality of it. Since I don't know, let's wait and see. So I'm not like saying, everything's going to be fine. I'm just kind of in the I'll wait and see crowd versus getting my blood pressure up and, building cortisone in my stomach. I don't want to do that shit. I'm too old for that. That's the reality.
I will say this, right? That I'm definitely in the I wait to see crowd too, Dean. I'm 100% with you on that. But the people that are voicing concern, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because I think that, one, is therapeutic to state your concerns out in the open, and especially in our community, whether we agree or disagree, we tend to talk shit out. So,
right.
I definitely think that having concerns and talking about it, one, it's good, and two, is sometimes the relief when you state something out in the public and you're wrong about it and it doesn't happen, it's all the more sweeter. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I was worried that none of my books are going to work. And then when you find out that it isn't the case, it's almost like, woo.
Right.
That's a load off my back. So, yeah, we got to be happy. We can't just be like, oh, what I don't like, and it kind of annoys me sometimes on the server, and sometimes I'm guilty of this as well, because I'm not perfect either. But what I don't like is when someone comes on and says, oh, is this, and then everyone tells us, oh no, you're overreacting or whatever. No, that's how that person feels at the moment. You know what I mean? Like, let them vent.
Oh no. I have no problem with the venting. Like I said, the folks that I'm referring to are the true negative Nancy. These are the ones who have vented, they've stated their opinion, and then when somebody states their opinion, then they're the ones who are all over you and telling you, well, you're wrong. It's not because that's the people I'm talking about. I'm a firm believer, let everybody be who they are, and I'll have a conversation with anybody about anything,
Manu said, yeah, that was my experience, Spigs. And I'm sorry you had to go through that, dude. I got your back. And D was probably the one that told you that you was wrong. I
don't know. But Bright Crazy Charlie says exactly, it's much easier to be afraid of Cthulhu in the bathtub until you say it out loud. Look and feel like a fool and realize he's in the toilet. Ha ha ha. Yeah, but that's it. But hey,
I mean, at the end of the day, right? I think that all we could do as fans and as players of the Cypher system is, I'm gonna give you the old Philadelphia 76 a lot. Trust the process, right? Because I think as you follow the Backerkit, as you read Monte's things, I think a lot of this stuff is going to slowly start. The pitch is going to slowly start being finalized, and we're going to realize that a lot of the changes are either going to be for the positive or going to be something cool or something great. So I think that we should at least trust MCG to they've earned this trust, right? I think and Al's pinging me to that we're gonna have to log off soon. So my final statement is that MCG has earned our trust. They haven't done anything to break our trust in the last 5 years with all the stuff they've done. So I think they absolutely earned our trust, and let's just play it out.
And from that, I'm going to say I'm not going to even make a closing statement other than trust the process. And
Yep. And we'll carry this conversation over to the CU Discord, but I'm gonna immediately go into my spiel. If you like us and you like what we do, join the Cypher Unlimited Discord server for all things Monte Cook Games. We have the largest fan-run Discord server for everything MCG. If you find it in the kindness of your heart, give us a subscription here on Twitch, or go to Moonbeam and follow us there, or like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. We're still trying to build all 3 platforms up, and any help you can give us in that direction will be greatly appreciated. Our videos are always free, but if you want to support us financially in any way, you could give us a little donation on Ko-fi, or go to our online store and pick up some cool Cypher Unlimited merch, like the shirt Dean has on, or the hat I have on. We're still looking for GMs for CypherCon. The last day for GM CypherCon is July 15th, so you have about 20 days left to sign up a game. We have so much cool things happening at CypherCon, so please, if you want to run, please go sign up. And last but not least, we love you guys.
Yep, thank you guys so much in the audience for coming by talking about the new Cypher book. Definitely a lot to talk about, so I know everyone's still up in gear, and I know I gotta run, but go on to the Cypher Unlimited Discord where we continue this in text, because I know people still are raring to talk about it. But another quick reminder, if you haven't already, be sure to sign up to be notified about those emails and updates. I just posted the link again, and if you're watching this on YouTube, it is down below. It is the call to action for the new Cypher System campaign, and if you sign up for that, you'll be in the pipeline to receive those email updates and whatnot. So you definitely will stay in the loop if you sign up. Just wanted to mention that one more time before getting out of here. And thank you, Anthony and Dean, for leading this talk. I'm sure there's going to be much more talk to be had about this topic. So stay tuned, everyone. And yeah, thank you guys again. Thank you, everyone out there in the internet land. And from us at the CU, we will see you later. Peace.